was Chukat. In Chukat, a very big event happened. That was the death of Miriam. The death of Miriam meant that something stopped. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? Yeah, very, very good. But before I even do that, I want to show you that how many times did we say that not everything that happened is recorded. I always say that Hashem chose certain things. I want to prove that right now. So the pasuk starts by Rabbi Bnei Yisrael Kol Ha'edah B'Partzim, Chodesh Harishon, which would be Nisan, Hayeshivam B'Kadesh V'Tamar Sham Miriam V'Tikaver Sham. So this parsha Chukat last week was right after Korach. So you would assume that it just happened one after the other. So not. Like, look at the English for a second. Korach occurred right after the incident of the spies. Now the spies, that happened when? Pretty close after Yetziat Mitzrayim, right? They were going, they got the Torah, they're on their way, and the spy thing happened. It was a problem. Right after the spies was Korah, which we talked about last week. This means that all the events in Parashat Shlach and Korah, which is 2 weeks ago and 3 weeks ago, guys, occurred in the second year after the Exodus. So all those stories, all those Parashiyot happened after Yetziat Mitzrayim. Right? Chukat, which is the Parasha after Korah, which we think is a week later, actually happened okay. No, that's excellent. That's excellent. It's probably the best audience I got. It's okay. You want me to hold the baby? See, most women bring their babies to Rabbi's speeches so they can go to sleep. That's a great idea. You know that joke, right? You should know the joke. Guy calls the rabbi at 3 a.m. He says, Rabbi, can you tell 5 minutes to talk about on Shabbat? Because it's 3 a.m. He says, yeah, I can't fall asleep. Boom, I'm out. That's what they call him. Okay. Raina, when do you want to sit here? So this is my daughter, Raina. Is this comfortable? Is this good? Sit over here. Okay. Beautiful. Okay, beautiful. So I'm studying with this Raina Anthony. You know that, right?
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, well, you should love it too. Okay, here we go. So let's go back to this. However, Parashat Chukat, girls, which was last week, occurred in the 40th year. So from 2 weeks ago to last week, there was a 38 to almost 39-year gap. And nothing is recorded. Nothing. Throughout the Midbar. Fascinating. The next thing was Chukat. Okay. So they're now at the threshold of entry into the land. All the troubles and complaints up until now occurred in the first 18 months. So first of all, I want to point out that not everything that happened is recorded. And therefore, when Hashem records certain stories, they're here for us to learn something. It's not a history book. If somebody tells you that the Chumash in the Bible is a history book, nada. Just like there are rules and laws in the Torah that we learn from Chukim and Mishpatim, the Sikurim are there for us to learn from. Prove that. I want to show you an interesting thing. So Rabbi Twersky says, so right after Mitzrayim, there was problems, right? A year or two, all those stories. And now, right before, there's problems. He wants to prove, and that's the little box, that transitions are almost always signs of growth. They can bring feelings of loss. To get somewhere new, we may have to leave somewhere else behind, which means Rabbi Twersky says you should know why. Transitions cause anxiety. Like getting married. The weeks before marriage are transitional. And it's not simple. Moving. Going a deal. But that's not a good transition. But real transitions in life, we have to realize, we have to prepare ourselves that there's going to be some anxiety. And we have to just be calm about it. And he proves it. That when they left Mitzrayim, that was a huge transition, right? Things were a little shaky. And now they're leaving the Midbar and going into Eretz Yisrael, they're a little shaky. Interesting, just a side point. So now we are right before going into Eretz Yisrael. The one famous story that happened in Chukat, I can't ignore. For years, people tried to understand what happened with Moshe and the rock. That was last week. That's a very, very, very fascinating story. Moshe Rabbeinu, right? Doing supposedly something wrong. And God punishing him that he doesn't go to Eretz Yisrael. That's a huge thing, though. So I want to revisit this. I found a gem last year. I'm going to use this gem. Hopefully you don't remember. I'm going to use this gem. No, it's a real gem. I love words in the Torah. I'm going to use this gem to try to pull something which I think is very, 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 very important for us in life. And it's not controversial, but it's a little pushing the edge. So you sort of have to help me. Ready? Okay. So we know the story, right? Miriam dies. There's no water. The water came from a rock. The rock went someplace else. Hashem says to Moshe, take your stick, right? Speak to the rock. And Moshe doesn't speak to the rock. He hits the rock. So if you see it, it's right there on the bottom. A little misleading, though. I mean, should I bash God a little bit? A little misleading, right? Take the staff. Hello. Okay. Bring everybody with our own. Says it. And we'll give water, right? Yada, yada, yada. Vayichalu Moshe v'Aaron et haka'al al pnei hasela. Vayomer lahem, and they were complaining. They were saying, we need water. And he says to them, Shimu na hamorim. What is morim? Sounds like teachers, no? It means rebels. Does that mean that all teachers are rebels? Wow. I should put that in the teacher. Yeah. Shimu na hamorim. You rebellious people, you think I could just get water from a rock? Some rabbis learned that these words are what Moshe did. I don't know what to say. What did wrong? He lost it. Makes me uncomfortable. But that's what's happening. By him saying, Shimuna HaMorim, he lost patience with them. He should not have said it. And what does he do? He got Moshe Samateh, and he hits the rock. Everybody knows that. Ready? So the gem from last year is the following. Is this the first experience Moshe and rocks? 39 years earlier, the original rock was, Moshe was told to hit the rock. So on our derech, ready? I hope you're excited on our way to understanding something deeper that I never said before, is there a difference between that time and this time, which means now we want to know, why did God change it? Why there did God say what? And here God said, isn't that a great question? So here you have our story. Flip the page for a minute. Page 2. This is Shemot. Okay, this is in Bishalach. This is in Bishalach. Ready? So again, by Yisu, Kol Adat B'nai Yisrael Midbar Sin L'Masehem Api Hashem. They came to the king. Ein Mayim Lishtot. Right? By Yomer Hashem El Moshe. Avor Lifnei Ha'am. Go in front of the people. Right? Take this name. Matcha. Take your stick. You guys follow it, right? The one that you the Dam Tzvardei Akini Ben Arov. Right? Hideni Omed L'Fanei Hashem Al Hatzur. V'Hikita Batzur. Hit the tzur. And the water. Look at this and go back to page 1. You know those little and they give you 2 pictures. They say five things that are different. Okay, so let's annoy you. Find me 2 things. The second, I don't know if you'll get. Right. Selan Tzur. I know. Everybody see, what do they call a rock now in the one in Parashat Chukat? First page. Girls, see it. Look. Selah. Samach Lamed Ayin. Not a word about in Shemot, it says, Hineni Omed V'necha Sham Al Hatzur. Not a word about Selah. Is there a difference between Tzur? By the way, It should be every word in the Torah makes a
מה קרה? אני לא שומעת.
difference. Between Sur and Stella. Do we use Sur anywhere else in our prayers? Who in Israel? Who are we describing as a Sur?
אני לא מבינה אותו.
Everyone,
Hard to hear him
check
because
if you're muted. Many are not muted.
Second difference? No, please don't feel that. Yeah.
It describes the Matot and the Shema part, the Matot that you use for the
Nice.
It doesn't describe it.
people are also talking instead of muting everybody. Other people are talking, so you're getting noise from other people.
This is very, 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 like a little bit. Okay, look back at page 1. Ready? Dibarta mela sela, speak to the sela. Ready? It's the third line. Benatan, what's the next word? Meima. What does that mean? The water of the sela. The water of
I
the
said
cell.
by Vivian is so
Water
neat.
of the cell,
Yeah.
correct?
Because she stands right by the camera.
At page
She doesn't
2.
walk around.
What?
She doesn't walk around.
And it
She stands
says,
right by the camera.
"Yatsu mimenu mayim." It doesn't attach the water to the what? To the rock. So we did some investigation. Good. So we did some investigation. And you can do the same thing on put in Google. Is there a difference between Selah and Sur? And guess what, girls? There is. Ready? In English, we translate 2 types of stones. In English, we translate both Hebrew words Sur and Selah in a rock. But in the Hebrew, there is a significant difference between the 2 terms. Sur is a rock that is hard and solid, both in its exterior and interior parts. It is all rock. That is why we call Hashem Sur Yisrael, all rock. Hashem rocks. A Selah, on the other hand, is a rock that is hard and rocky on the outside, but its interior contains water or moisture. Ready? Should I just let the cat out of the bag now without having to read it? 39 years. Oh, you said, yeah, your answer, yes. 39 years ago, they just came out of 210 years in Mitzrayim. 0 spirituality, no Jewish education, no connection to God whatsoever. They were dry like a rock. Nothing. There was nothing inside. There's nothing there. The only way to deal with that is like that. That doesn't mean literally to hit. But you need to be told what to do. The only way to lead Klal Yisrael there is do this, don't do this, do as I say. Because there's nothing inside for them to understand with. Hitting it. But it's 39 years later. For 38 years, girls, they were surrounded by the Ananim of Aharon. For 38 years, they had the water of Miriam. For 38 years, they had the man of Moshe. They had God, it was Kolel. It was 38 years of Kolel. I don't know if that excites you or not, but that's what it was. Hashem is now saying to Moshe, there's sellers now. There's water inside. You can't just tell them what to do. You got to talk to them. You got to bring it out. You got to bring out the water from the cellar. I think this is very exciting. It's amazing. Want to see a little proof? You like this kind of stuff? You see the word Selah right there in the middle? So let's spell it out. Damach, right? You see it? Lamed and Ayin, right? That's how you spell the letters, correct? What's the middle letter in Samach? What's the middle letter in Samach? Thank you. What's the what that's it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. What's the middle letter of Lamed? And what's the middle letter of Ayin? And what does that spell? In a cell. So that's the Perush. So that's the difference. Now I'm going out on a limb. But it's just a thought, but I do think it's something to think about. You ready? So far, so good? I'm going to leave this story for about 3-4 minutes and introduce you to a man called Honi Hamagel. So his name is not Honi, is choni, but the English, whatever that was, calls it choni. Does anybody ever remember this man? Girls, anybody learned in high school? Choni ha-ma'agel. Ma'agel is a what? What's a ma'agel? Circle. What was he famous for? Very good. It was not raining. It wasn't raining in Eretz Israel. I think he was a very holy man. Went out to the field. Made he said to God, I'm not leaving this circle until it rains. And it rained. He said, leaving until it rains even more, and it rained even more. So it was known as Chonei Hamad. Good. Got it. So they tell that's, you'll see where it says there, but what does it say? Anything exciting? To a scholar, first century, very nice. Time to Tada'i. Flip the page. What you might not know about Holy Girls, he is the original Rip Van Winkle. Did you know there was a Rabbi Rip Van Winkle? No. This is brand new. I never did this. Okay, but what happened? Real story. Choni sat down to have a meal and sleep overcame him. As he slept, a rocky formation closed upon him, which hid him from sight, and he slept for 70 years. Guys, I didn't make this up. That's what the Gemara says. Choni Amago, Rip Van Winkle, went to sleep and slept for 70 years. When he awoke, he saw a man gathering in front of the carrot tree and asked him, are you the man who planted the tree? He says, I'm his grandson. Thereupon Choni exclaimed, instead that I've slept for 70 years. He then caught sight of this, this donkey, which gave birth to several generations of mules, yada, 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 yada. Yeah, no, very nice. Next paragraph. He then repaired, never heard that word used, to the Bet Midrash. He went to the Bet Midrash. I'm on page 3. And there he overheard the scholars say, the law is as clear to us as in the days of Choni the circle drawer. For whenever he came to the Bet Midrash, he would settle for the scholars any difficulty that they had, which means Choni was so holy in his days, right, that anybody who had a question, they would ask Choni, and he would answer the question. He overheard these students 70 years later saying, like sort of, we wish we had a Choni who we could ask the questions to. Got it? Whereupon, by the way, this is straight from the Gemara, straight out of the Gemara. Whereupon he called out, I am he, yo, I'm Choni, yo, I'm Choni. But the scholars would not believe him, nor did they give him the honor due to him. This hurt him greatly, and he prayed for mercy, and he died. That's the story. It's sad, but that's the story. So about 3 weeks ago, my wife and I went to one of the grandchildren's graduations. By the way, if you ever get to that point, start making time to go to graduations. There are many of them. I want you to know that my consuegro, Mrs. Blumenkrantz, that's Naftali's mother. Rabbi and Mrs. Blumenkrantz gave birth to 15 children, 10 boys and 5 girls. I got the 11th. Okay, each one, like Rachel has 6, 8. Each one has like a lot. All right, I think she has like 85 grandchildren. Great. This woman, she's dull. Every night has something else. I say, where are you going? To a bris. Where are you going? To an off. Where are you going? To a shaver profit. Like this guy, she never makes supper. She goes someplace every night. She has something else. So I went to Akiva Baruch's graduation. It was a beautiful man. His name's Rabbi Per. That's his name. Nice.
I know.
You know Rabbi Per?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
He's such a holy man.
He's a beautiful man. I took a class with his wife many years ago.
Wow. Should I tell him that we know each other?
I know him.
I'm sure he's gonna. Are you kidding? He's gonna say, Reina.
Yes.
So it was my grandson's graduation. And only young rabbis spoke. And he is like the Rosh Hashiva, the elderly man. He asked him to speak for 3 minutes. In 3 minutes, he said something that blew my mind. So he brings this story. He asks a simple question, but it's not his question. It's Rabbi Shmulevitz. I had to put this picture in. Let's take 3 minutes to talk about Rav Chaim Lev Shmulevitz. Rabbi Shmulevitz and his brother were the Rosh Yeshivas of the Mir Yeshiva in Europe. And when the war broke out, most of the students were separated from their families, including my father-in-law, who lived in a town called Kamenetz. And from the day he said goodbye to them in Sukkot to go back to the yeshiva in Mir, he never saw anybody in his family again. That's not the goal here. But he was one of them. This rabbi and the other rabbis got all the boys out of Europe and went to Shanghai. This is a famous story. It's good, you should know. You should read it. It's there. And they went to Shanghai from 41 to 47. My father-in-law tells the stories of Shanghai, how they learned Torah in humidity. You know what hot it is there. They didn't have, Rochelle changing the thermostat there. And he was telling us all kinds of stories. They had nothing to eat, but they learned Torah. Okay, so this is Rabbi Shmuel. Rabbi Shmulevitz asked a great question. You should ask the question. Yo, Choni, if you're Choni, why don't you just say to them, ask me questions? He's the guy, right? They don't believe he's Choni, right? So what does he say? Okay, gather around, ask me questions, I answer your questions. That's a great question. Ready? Here's the bomb. Says Rabbi Shmulevitz. So it's again, I want to say it. Says Rabbi Shmulevitz, Choni is teaching us the questions that happened to a person 100 years ago are not the same questions anymore. They're new questions. And what you know from 70 years ago might not be able to answer those questions. It's a huge step. It's a huge step. It's possible. So let me just tell you what he says, right? Pierre said to these graduates, we gave you all the answers now in the 4 years of high school. I don't know if we could be able to answer the questions you might have in 20 years from now. You have to learn. Okay, that was his message. Great message. Sometimes people speak for 2 minutes and fantastic, and the other rabbi spoke for half an hour, and I'm looking at my watch, it's like. So this rabbi planted this in my mind, okay, in my mind. Okay, so just listen and don't quote me because I don't want to have crosses burnt on my front lawn. I would suggest that Moshe wasn't being punished. It was just a circumstance. It was just what comes out, a result of the federal, right? Whatever comes out. Maybe Hashem is a consequence. Maybe Hashem is telling Moshe, the way you led was great. You did a great job. But it's a new generation. And that doesn't work for you. They need Yoshi. So it wasn't Moshe made a mistake and because it always bothered me, really, Moshe, come on, guys, one mistake and he's fired. Moshe, it's not your job anymore. I know it's sad a little bit because I'm getting to that point in life. No, but I'm serious.
But not on the same way. Don't you feel like I know, forget you, but I'm saying, don't you feel like you're not the same parent as you were?
Oh, we're going to get to that. So, yeah, absolutely.
Good or bad, it's like obvious.
I can tell you now, I just came from Shabbat with 5 of our families, with a lot of the grandchildren. I'm so happy I'm not a father anymore. I'm serious. Even the new things that are happening now, I told you about this a lot. I don't know if I can handle it. I really don't know. I told you last week, I had whatever this kid's telling me. I tell you last week.
No.
So the kid's telling me. So I said something, I was distracted because he was dreaming. So they start laughing, the guys. The kids are laughing. They're 13. Like something, what's so funny about distracted? Like, that's not a funny word, is it? Is this very word now? There's a new thing there. Distract. The guy makes a song up, bashing the other guy. So it's a diss track. Okay. So I don't know if I would have patience for this garbage anymore.
יש טונאפיש, יש כל מיני דברים, אוקיי?
It just makes me feel better that it's not like he made a mistake and you get punished. Hashem is saying, your type of leadership was great. It doesn't work for him. I'm sorry?
So you had to create something for Moshe to do?
Okay, give him a job in retirement, right? Give him an office and shoot a floppers on the lower floor and let him teach 2 periods a week. Yeah, go ahead.
It might sound harsh, but he's not relevant.
Yeah, that's right. I'm not relevant. Oh, but that's his derech, which is something wrong with that derech. That derech was necessary at a certain point, at a certain time. Okay. Just-
say that, Moshe.
I'm sorry? That's right. He's Moshe.
Not for any generation, it's not relevant. I know it's a
It's also a brand new generation coming
Yeah,
in,
yeah.
right? And these are the children of the slave.
Okay, so am I gonna get like emails and phone calls? Or- It's not as bad. This is not as bad as Roe versus Wade, right? It's not that bad. I just want to bash this home a little bit and then move on to something else. There is a pasuk that I say often. This is not new. This is Rabbi Fran. But in what I just told you, I think it doesn't have to be no relevant, but we have to be careful. Take a look at this pasuk on the bottom. It's number 6. It's in Parashat Ha'azinu. Ha'azinu is the very second to the last Parashat of the Torah. Page 3 on the bottom. Ready? So first, let's read the pasuk. The way
It's turkey, you want?
No.
Okay, you know what?
Huh?
Let's look at
No.
the pasuk. Last line of the pasuk is a dream. Sha'al avicha v'yagetcha. Telling the kids, you want to know something? Ask your parents. Zikenecha, ask your grandparents. We don't rely. How nice would that be if our children actually care about what we say? So how do we get to that? So let's look at the first one. Zechor Yemot Olam. Yeah. Parents and grandparents have a memory, right? Have the experience of what? Of previous years. Yeah. Right? Seniors have experience. That's good. Binu. Okay, what does Binu mean? What's Bina mean? Right. So Binu is wisdom. Understand Shnot Dor Vador. What does that mean? Shnot Dor Vador, says the English. Reflect upon the years of other generations. So if you take, what's that? Good.
That's great.
Okay, so if you learn the pasuk straight, it's just repeating. That happens a lot. It's in poetry like that, right? Remember the old days? Remember the old days. Got it? Rabbi Friend is not happy with that. First of all, why repeat? Second of all, he's got a diktuk question. Ready? How do you say year? How do you say years? How do you say the years of somebody? Shnei, not shnot. It's not shnot, it's shnei, right? Shnei chaye Sarah, right? The years of Sarah. Shnei Sarah. Right. So he wants to say, no, that l'ishtanot, mazel shinui. So there are two messages. Remember the old days. I always say this. I say it to parents. I just said it to parents. Yeah. But remember the old days, but realize that the change in the generation. So there is such a concept. Yeah. We do have to understand we can't walk in. I will tell you that, and Rabbi Rabbi has said this for years, and all my mentors have said this for years. You know, a teacher has his lesson plans, right? Her lesson plans. Okay. If you're using lessons plans from 1958, okay, redo your lesson. You can't walk into a class thinking that I could do the same thing I did last year. Even my jokes I have to update. It's ridiculous. They don't get my jokes anymore. I got to do the new thing. So it's a very important. Okay, so it's a thought process of Moshe. Think about it. I don't know if it's true. I don't have proof, but it's a concept. Got it? Okay. Let's go to this week's parsha. All right. This week's parsha, we got to go back to that Mishnah. So this week's parsha is called Balak. Believe it or not, Balak is not the main character. They didn't call it Parashat Bilam. They called it Parashat Balak, and I'm not going to discuss it. But rabbis do discuss it, okay? But Balak, who was Balak? He was a non-Jewish king of Moab. The Jewish people are now moving towards the top of 4, moving towards Eretz Israel, and they are rolling, okay? They're strong, they're beating everybody in their path. Balak is scared. What are they going to do to me? Vayagar Moab, Matot, he was so scared. So what did he do? We read the story of Balaam. There's an important passage concerning it. King Balak invited Balaam. Now, how this works, I can't tell you because I don't know. God gave the power of what you want to call prophecy, the power of conversing with God to a non-Jew. And his name is Balaam. Why was he chosen? I can't tell you. But does anybody know where do we meet Bilam? Actually, we don't meet him in the Midrash. Where is Bilam originally? He was an Egyptian. There were 3 advisors to Paro. One was Yitro. One was the guy who got the whole Navi that he suffered so much. Eo, and there was Bilam. Yitro didn't agree with Paro. He ran away. Bilam agreed with Paro, and Eo kept silent. That's the whole point of that. That he kept silent. Was he punished for that? We're not doing that. So that's Bilam. He was given back. For my point today, for our point today, all I need for you to know is it's clear that Bilam knows that God exists. You got that? I mean, he speaks to him, guys. It's not like he's learning it in 3rd grade. I mean, God speaks to Bilam. So he knows that God sees everything he does. Good. So they come to him and they offer him a tremendous amount of money to curse the Jewish people. That what is the Jewish people? One of the, we're good?
Yeah.
I look much fatter on a small phone. What is the power of the Jewish people? It's Moshe Rabbeinu's mouth, right? His mouth. So let's counteract with somebody who's got a mouth like Moshe. That's the point. Last week we quoted this Mishnah, which we're going to quote the whole summer, that there are three things that can totally take a person out of this world. Last week we talked about kin'ah. Now we're going to go to ta'ava. When you hear the word ta'ava, you start thinking drug addiction. Okay. Inappropriate addiction, which we're not going to talk about today. Today we're going to talk about the biggest addiction. Oh, it's called money. Money. Let me say it again. Money. Bilam loved money. And they offered him a deal. Now, just start conceptually for a second. Conceptually. God says to him, no. Yes, no. Can I go? I want to make money. No. He's trying to work it out anyway. But God said no. And you know God knows what's going on. He's playing with it. So this reminds me of something I shared often. It's a while ago. Kid comes up the steps in school with a bag. And it's not good. I say to the kid, like this, without him. He goes, could you not tell me this till after I read it? Like, I know, but I don't want to know. I know, but I don't want to know. That's beyond. He knows, but no one. He's playing the game. So, one of the women that always come every week, you know, the one that says all the answers in Brooklyn, sent me this. So I want to read it for you. Okay? So I don't know if she's on Zoom. Here we go. What money can buy? A bed, but not sleep. A clock, but not time. A book, but not knowledge. A position, but not respect. Medicine, but not health. A nuisance, but not friendship. Obedience, but not faithfulness. A house, but not. Very nice. I would like to show you something that Rabbi Fran says next page. I love this. And if you have a moment to say it by Torah in your home about a pidyon haben, remember this. So pidyon haben is not so common in the Sephardic community because everybody and their mother is a Kohen. Okay, so I don't know how that happened, by the way. How did that happen? Like most of the Sephardic community are unable to be. You know that in the Ashkenazi community. I like it. So go ahead. Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, so there you go. Excellent. But you do know that, right? You do know that you go to a Sephardic shul, like 90% of the guys go up front for Birkat Kohanim, 40 Israelis in the back, they go like this. You go to an Ashkenaz shul, you have to borrow Kohen off the street because you can't find it. So the reason I just said that is because it's rare to find people, because Pidyon Haben has to be that the mother's Israel, the father's Israel. It has to be not a C-section, it has to be the first baby, and the first baby is a man. So it's not often, but everybody knows what a Pidyon Haben is. You have one. Yeah, oh. And he's working. I did one. Yeah. Okay. I don't know if anybody ever listened to the actual ceremony. So I'd like to share with you a very, very disturbing conversation. I have it here. I even wrote Sephardic Pidyon Haben. Look at that, just in case you're going to say only the Ashkenazim do this. Right? Okay. Once the meal has begun, the Kohen takes the child from the mother and asks the father, is this son of yours firstborn? Father answers, Ken, yes. The Kohen says, everybody ready? Please look. Now, it switches to Aramaic. Anytime it switches to Aramaic in Judaism, it means that you really have to understand what's going on. Not you, because they used to speak Aramaic. You don't know. I'll give you an example that a lot of people don't know. Put this aside. Bitul Chametz. On Erev Pesach, there is a section that's called Kol Chamira. It's written in Aramaic so that we understand it, they understand it. It's not a prayer. And if you say it in Aramaic, you or your husband or somebody says it in Aramaic and doesn't understand, it's a problem. I've seen people go like this. What are you crying about? It's a financial statement. They think they're praying for their grandmothers in the hospital. It's not. It's Kol Chamira is just saying that there's those, not you know those donuts that your kids hide behind their beds and then you don't see it back. So maybe you forgot something upstairs. So you're saying if I forgot something upstairs, it should be null and void. That's it. We're not praying for health. We're not praying for money. So I just want to show you, anytime it says in Aramaic, it means that they did it so people should understand. Here's Aramaic. Here we go. Cohen asked the following. What would you rather have? Your firstborn son, or the 5 points. So he goes like this. Would you want the money or the kid? How gross is that? What is this, a mafia Pidyon Haben? Is that what you're asking a mother and a father who just gave birth to their first? That was the first one. At least you like the first, right? By the fourth, you might take the money. My father, I love to always tell my brother, stuff. He say, I should take the money. Big mistake. All right, this is ridiculous. It's a ridiculous conversation. Rabbi Fran says, you finally have a kid. Remember, do you want the kids or you want money? And remember the rest of it. It's beautiful. What are you doing with your time? Are you like Besser? Comes home at 11 o'clock? So now that we're with the kids and then the last one got married, they're all telling me everything I didn't do for the last 30 years. And I'm serious. Oh, you never said Shema. Oh, yes, I did. But I'm serious. That's the statement. Okay. So just lay it down for a second. That money happens to be a huge draw. And it's blinding. Gosh. Are you ready? I need to do this big time. Okay. So, no, we're not so bad yet. So there's a very famous pasuk in this week's Parashat that Bilam wanted to curse and God twisted him. I've always said this pasuk, but I have a brand new thing, which I heard, and I'm very proud to say, from a young rabbi called Rabbi Ariel Mizrahi. Rabbi Ariel Mizrahi was a Yeshiva Flatbush student, graduated, was a Rabbi Yeshiva Flatbush, and now he's doing big time in the city. Okay? And he's got stuff on Torah anytime, and I always record it. He says something really cool. So he asked the following. So first of all, this is the pasuk, okay? Now I'll get to it in a minute. There's other parts that I want to do, but this is brand new, so listen carefully. Vayared Yisrael shochen l'shvatav. He saw the Jewish people dwelling. Vatehi alav ruach Elokim, and the Spirit of God rested upon him. I'll get to that Rashi soon. That's the next point. But what's the pasuk that he says? Matovu oholecha. Girls, you should recognize this. Matovu oholecha Yaakov mishkenotecha Yisrael. How beautiful are your tents of Yaakov and the dwelling places of Israel. This pasuk gets top billing, in two areas that are very important to Jewish people. One, pray. In an Ashkenazi word, it's the first thing we say after Modani. Matovu Alecha Yaakov. You go to any kid in Ashkenaz home. They're davening. How much do they daven? Whatever they say, like my grandchildren this weekend. Matovu Alecha Yaakov. Everybody says Matovu. It's the first pasuk. Top billing. Remember that it's being said by a Rasha, whose intention was to curse us. Where is this? Where else is the top building? At a wedding. Right? I'll tell you why at a wedding in another season in a minute. Do you guys remember this? You want me to sing it for you? What? If you need a chazan for a wedding, I'm very, very happy to I do. I do. I love the Spartan too. Okay, there we go. Ariel Mizrahi said, came to teach us something really important. With a sick masha. Brandon, I have to prepare because what's that? He says, yeah, you know what Hashem is teaching us? I'm going to show you the pasuk in a few minutes. We as Jews have to realize that when other people curse us, we have to turn it into a bracha. Don't be cowards. Not cowards here. Don't be afraid. When somebody throws things at you, turn it around and make it. Ready to this mashal? It's so cute. Do it with your little kids, not that little. So this man was walking with his donkey, and then all of a sudden he didn't realize he was a pit. The donkey fell into the pit. Does he get that? He can't get that. So what's he gonna do? Has he the donkey? So he says, "Please let me bury it." So he buries. He should be there dead. So he takes a shovel and he's not looking, and he just goes like this. He keeps throwing it. All of a sudden, the donkey comes up out of the pit. He goes, what happened? Every time he threw dirt on the donkey put it under his feet and climbed out. They're beautiful. It's his own. So which means that if somebody throws dirt at you, use it to step up out of the dirt. It's a beautiful picture. So I was so excited about that I actually found the Gemara. Look at this Gemara. It's amazing. Gemara is in 1836b. You can check it out. Tanu Rabbanan on the bottom. Haneh Lavin ve'enan olavin shomim cherpatan ve'ein meishivin osin mehava. Right? The pasuk is ve'ohavav kitzet Hashem. Let me do the English. I'm sorry. Sages taught. Bottom of whatever page. It doesn't say. Yeah, it's there. Those who are insulted but do not insult others. Those who hear shame but do not respond. Right? Are joyful in the suffering that other people give them. The verse states, and they that love him, because you love Hashem so much, are as the sun going forth. Say the rabbis today, the moment you see a person who is, now, I have to stop for a second and get out of the box. We're not talking about somebody who's being abused and take it. We're not talking about that. Get that out of the picture. We're out of the picture. You have an abusive relationship, do something about it. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, someone insults you. Right? If you swallow and don't make a big deal, the rabbis today say, go to that person and get a blessing. Based on this passage. This person is like the sun. They can bring sunshine into your life. It's an amazing thing, and I have a story for you. I have to tell you, my father years ago, my father died already 25 years. So we were walking to shore. We grew up in the Upper West Side. And in my time, the Upper West Side area, it's not as pretty as it is today. Let's call it Little Harlem. And we're going to shul, and some young men are saying disgusting things to my father and myself about Jewish people. If you know me, I already hunched my shoulders. I'm a fighter. I was going to go do something. My father said, nothing. I said, but you can't. How can you hear this stuff? And my father said, didn't we go last week down this block and there were like two dogs barking at us, cursing us out? He says, did you do anything? I said, no, they're dogs. He goes, yeah. What do you get upset about? Somebody's a little unstable, said something to you. Somebody has issues, and you know people have issues. There's so many mentally ill people in this world today. I don't know what the heck is going on. I'd say something, okay, going from one to the other percent. You know that when I see these stories about shooters and stuff, you know what I think? I say to myself, I wish I could have been that kid's teacher. Nobody took care of this kid. How does a kid grow up to be 18, 19, and so crazy? Okay, just have to say that. So here's the story. It's a great story. Rabbi Shapiro, his name. I always tell this story. So he lives in Miami. He was in a restaurant in Miami. And please don't be upset. There were 4 ladies, okay? Could have been men, but there were 4 ladies. 4 ladies were sitting there, and they were totally abusive to this Israeli waiter. His name was Shoham. But really not nice. You know the joke, right? In the Jewish restaurant, the waiter goes to the table and he goes, "Is anything okay?" But they were abusive, okay? He didn't say that. But really bad. After they left, he went over to him and said to him, "Can you give me a blessing? I'm a rabbi, give me a blessing." So he says, "I should give you a blessing?" And he tells him, the Gemara says what I just told you. It's a big deal. The Gemara says, no. Okay. You take my mitzvah away?
What?
Take my mitzvah away? So, and the story, of course, is Shoham came from Israel, he came from a religious family, and he became a doctor. Because he was very impressive. But that is the truth. I have a whole perush, but okay. So understand that I think that's beautiful. It's Ariel Mizrahi, it's not mine, and I think it's a really good lesson, and that's why I'm not talking. Okay. This last lesson is going to be the last thing. Yeah. Okay. You know what? Okay, so I'm going to save this for another time. No, I want to do one more thing. I'm going to save this for another time. This is a big deal about what did Bilam see. Girls, I'm going to do this in a Shalom Bias class. I'm going to do this in a family class. Any pasuk you're going to learn, you should learn this pasuk. Because what inspired Bilam, says Rashi, that the doorways of the Jewish houses were not facing each other. I could do this for but I'm not going to do that. But remember, I'm going to do it. Believe that. Do you understand? The only way to keep a home is to not get sucked into what's going on today. More and more and more. You don't live for Instagrams. Your happiness is not based on somebody else. Your happiness is not based on how you look to somebody. It's crazy. It's crazy. Notification after notification after notification. Okay, so we're going to skip that for now, but I'm going to get back to it, okay? And I'm going to prove, of course.
She said you did it.
No, it's not. I didn't really do it. And I'm going to prove that, you know who's really in charge of that?
The woman.
I have a proof. But okay, I owe you one. But I must do this thing with Bilam, all right? So we're back to Bilam. Okay. We're on the next to last page. It's not numbered. I'm really sorry. It says chapter 19 on top, but I'm not doing that. So we're going to the middle of the page. It says, Vayichar Av Elokim. You see that? Okay. 5 minutes. Because it's a Bilam story. So I don't want to go back to the lines. Here we go. Next week, by the way, is Pinchas. Whoa. We're going to blow next week. Pinchas, he saw somebody doing something wrong and he stabbed them. Wow. Should we do that as Jewish people? I should do little snippets of next week. Okay, I got to do this. It's really cool. So Bilam kept playing the game. I'm going to go. I'm going to go. So at some point, Hashem hatched, right? Vayichar af Elokim ki holechu. Hashem is upset with Bilam. So get the picture again. Bilam was told, no, he's going. I'm going to go. I'm just going to do this. And he's going. He's going towards the job that he wants the money for. Anything that God said so far did not make a difference. So what does God do? Vayityatzeh malach Hashem baderech l'satan lo. Hashem sends an angel. Very famous story. An angel to stop Bilam. Bilam gets dissed now because he doesn't see the angel. He's a Nabi. The donkey sees the angel, and he doesn't see the angel. He's right on the donkey. But did you notice the word the Torah says? Vayityatzeh malach Hashem baderech. What's that word? L'satan lo? Satan? God sends Satan? Says Rashi. Malach shel rachamim haya. It's a merciful one. Wait a minute, slow down. A merciful one, and you're calling it what? Satan?
They call him Bilam the Satan because he's the one who wants to speak.
L'satan lo, says the Malach. Because what's the goal of this malach? To stop him. Says Rav Pam. Have you ever heard of Rabbi Pam? All these rabbis were so special. Once beautifully observed that the angel of mercy can appear in all different types of guises and costumes. Sometimes he appears as the scariest creature we've ever seen. Its job is to stop us from doing what we're doing, which means it is possible. I don't want to play this game, but it is possible that maybe on the way for me to do something bad, right? God throws a wrench, which to me looks like a what? A satan. Oh my God, something got messed up. Don't marry this boy. No, but I love him. He's not for you. You're on your way to do something that you shouldn't be doing. But as money, love is blind. Maybe God throws something in. Maybe he makes you break up. He drops you. To you, whoa, Satan. To God, I just saved you a life of misery. That's what the pasuk is saying. There might be things in life, the business, the deal didn't go through. I missed the flight. Look at that. I messed up. It messed up. It looks like a Satan. Maybe God's help. And that's exactly what God was doing. There was a traffic jam in the donkey road. It was. He was on the way. He's trying to make money, and the donkey's not moving. That's because God sent them out. Okay, we got that. She sees the malachim on the bottom with a sword. Here it is. This is my favorite piece. Ready? So one of the most famous things, and that's where I have to do that. Let's get the other one. Okay, everybody knows the movie Shrek? Okay, so there's a movie Shrek in this week's Parashat. The Aton, the donkey, sees the malach. He's hitting the donkey. Let's go, let's go. Vayiftach Hashem et biha. Hashem opened the mouth of the donkey. Opened up. And she said to Bilam, Dechila, it's a safari donkey. What did I have to do to you that you're hitting? Okay, I didn't write the next pasuk. I want you to tell me. You're Bilam now. All of a sudden, the donkey turns to you and says, why are you hitting me? What would your reaction? You know what his reaction was? He answers the donkey. He says, if you don't move, I'm going to kill you. Hashem sends many messages. Really? Your car starts to talk and you just say, okay, I'm going to move the car. That means a person is so steeped in their, whatever it is, right? In their blindness of money or other tavot, which we don't want to talk about, right? Something so unnatural. So there's a very sad ending here. And I'm sorry, don't be upset with me. I didn't write this. Next page. I'm done. It's the last page, the one that has half. Okay? 2 more minutes. Okay. He opened the eyes of Bilam, and he sees his malach, right? And the last pasuk is, go, just go. It's I feel that. It's like, Hajj, we're done with you. Go. He went to curse, and the only way God stopped it was he took the words and twisted. But Bilam was done. Bilam was unstoppable to do the sin. Says Rashi. Try to remember this Rashi, please don't be upset. Lechim anashim, says Rashi, Baderech sha'adam rotzeh leilech ba molichim otah. Because the Rambam says, look at the Rambam, famous Rambam, in the Chot Teshuvah. Free will is granted to all men, means men and women. Who remembers how to say that in Hebrew? Bechira chofshit. The Rambam clearly says, God cannot force you to do good or to do bad. Either way, he can't force it. Because otherwise there's no punishment anymore. You follow me? He can try. And he tried with Bilam. He tried. Right? He threw the malach in. He told him no. And he made the donkey speak. At some point, you want to go down, you're going down. And some people actually learned that with explaining Paro. You know the whole story of Paro, that Hashem's hardened his heart. So maybe the first 5 Matot, it didn't say it, they says he saw the way he wants it. The good news is, if you want to do something good, then God will help you. So I didn't tell you that story, which I was going to tell. I told you. So you could end up doing something good, even if you didn't mean it. You ready? Top story for a while. So I'm studying with somebody. Please don't ask me who it is. So I said I always say this is my pet peeve about bashing people, on stuff. So I said, do you bash people? Do you stop? So the kid starts laughing. I said, I didn't say the story last week. No. I said, what's so funny? He goes, okay, here's the story, Rabbi. He was watching Netflix, a very exciting movie. No, fine with it. He was very into it. At that time, his friends were bashing someone. So he keeps getting notifications. They do. But he ignored it because he wants to watch the movie. Finally, he just picks up the phone and writes, "Stop. It's annoying. Please don't." And he puts it down. An hour later, half hour later, his mother comes into the room, gives him a kiss, and says, "You're something." What happened? So they were bashing. He had no concept. So he wrote, "Please stop," and he's a 3-year-old kid. So they all responded to him because the victim saw it. The mother of the victim saw it, called the principal, and told the principal to call the mother to say what a great kid.
Wow.
So there you have it. If you want to do something good, God will put you there. He ends up doing a tremendous, he didn't even know what he was doing. So I guess you should just watch that. Yes, I have a proof. Call me. I knew you were going to say that. Call me.
You can't say that counts as much as somebody
Cool.
knows consciously. Okay.
You call me.
Call on it.
Oh, cool on you. Okay. Go ahead. What do you have to say?
Let's hear what you have to say.
So when you own a field, there's something called leket, shichicha, and peah. Leket, you let the 2 things go. Peah, we always talk about. But we never talk about shichicha. What's shichicha? What does it mean? Shichicha means that you're Rabbi Besser. You totally forgot to bring something. It happens. You're doing your field. Oh my God, I didn't even think that. I forgot. Did I mean to give it to the onion? It's the same as like okay. When it comes to tzedakah, when it comes to chesed, the end result is the most. And even if you didn't mean it, it's just like it. Is it not true? I mean, is it a big mitzvah? But chesed, chesed is chesed. So happy I was here. Guys, have a great week. An easy fest on Sunday. Can't wait to see you again.